So you got to check out these hinges. This is the lid, and I just attached it quickly to my bench top here at the back. And check this out. Pull up the top, let it go there, leave it there, all the way up, let's close it almost all the way, stays right there, all the way down. These hinges are like laptop hinges. They're torsion. There's a mechanism in there that will keep the lid at any angle that you want to leave it. You have to calculate the weight of your lid and the depth of your lid, and then get the correct hinges that match that, and then attach them, and it will stay at any angle you put this at. So obviously it's great for a toy chest for a little kid growing up that can get in and out of this without having to worry about smashing their fingers. Well, I'm almost done. I'd sort of forgotten this whole time, a toy chest is not much good without a bottom. It was always the last thing I was gonna, work on. So that's what I've been doing. I milled up a piece of cherry for the bottom, shiplapping the bottom to allow for expansion. So I'll show you a shot of that. And I've also finished the rest of the details that needed to go on here other than the pegs. I still have to bang in the small pegs. But I got some pieces on top here. I finished the little serifs along the front. I got the lid hinges, mortise, the lid. Took me a little while to get it just the way I wanted lined up here in the front. So I worked on mortising the lid, the hinges into the back and into the lid, fitting them, doing that a couple of times, making adjustments, routed out a little handhold in the lid so you can raise and lower that. And then just a few odds and ends, had glue blocks to put these two pieces on top on either side, and a bunch of just minor stuff that needed to happen to pull the whole thing together. So give you another quick tour of the state we're in. I've got one coat of oil on the pieces that I've just added, all the little pieces here and there, the serifs, the top pieces where I mortised out, etc. So I have one coat of oil. I'll do a couple of coats of oil and then the shellac, and then I've got to do shellac on the inside of the case, the bottom, the inside, and the frame parts, and the inside of the lid, and get the pegs in, finish getting the magnets installed, which all the holes are cut, but I just need to install those, and I should be just about done this whole case. Here's a quick tour of the case in its current state. I've got a first coat of oil on all the little parts. You can see here the little serif there on the top and the foot there down at the bottom. Got a first coat of oil on those little pieces, and I'll do a couple of coats of oil and then shellac, and it should blend right in. And I got these top rails on, glue blocks, glued and screwed underneath some glue blocks to attach those. I want to get a nice sturdy attachment point because this chest might get picked up by these end pieces. Right under here is kind of a place you might hold it to pick the whole thing up. So I definitely wanted to get some nice attachments. So you can see I got glue blocks under there to attach that piece. And then mortised out the back here for the lid hinges. You can see mortise here and here. Actually had to fiddle for a bit. So this one's pretty good. But this one I had to add another little piece back on top to get the front just the way I wanted it. So I fiddled around with those hinges so that the front of the lid fits exactly the way I want it. And then just finishing up the bottom. So here's a look inside. And here is the bottom. So shiplapped pieces, cut around the corner there. And it'll get screwed there. And there's actually a center support. You can see there's one more board that's not in there. So there's one end and down, center support going across and down to the other end. 4 shiplap cherry boards. Those will get shellac on them. And then I just got to bang in the pegs. I've got holes for the pegs throughout the case. Around the sides, there's a couple up top. Couple there at the back and down here. So I've got the pegs made, so just got a little dabs of glue and bang those in. And then finish applying the finish, and we should be done. Well, the toy chest is 100% complete. The finish is on there, the peg details are on there, and I couldn't be happier. The last few pieces were, of course, installing the bottom and putting some shellac on that. Finishing the inside of the frame parts, I had pre-finished the exterior oil and shellac. The interior of the frame parts I did once it was fully assembled, and that was just a shellac, a couple of coats. Doing all the little bits and pieces, the little square pegs, banging those in, finishing those, of course installing the lid, finishing where I had mortised out, and cut away some material. Little chamfer details here on the top I had to do by hand once it was assembled, and then of course finishing those. And I talked about the front, the couple of serifs, the little pieces that I added. So I had to put the finish process, some oil and shellac on those. So the whole thing is now 100% done. The lid works fantastic. You can bring it up. It'll stay at any position. Put it back down, no problem. Got a little handhold here to reach in to bring that lid up and down. And I couldn't be happier with how it turned out. So let me show you some close-up shots of the chest now that it's all done. So here is a close-up tour of the chest now that it is all complete. You can see around the side here. See some of those side details. You can make out the square pegs there. Those just banged in very nicely. A little bit of finish. Turned out great. You can see the foot detail here at the bottom on the side. There's the front. And then along at the back, there's a back foot detail and peg. Cherry panels there on the side with the middle rail. And that middle rail is the one that has the magnets. The front, nice curly walnut here. Book matched walnut here for the curves of the K. And then this lid panel, I'm really happy with the cherry for this lid panel. It came out great. It's a little bit different board than the other ones, and it gives it a really nice feel. And of course you can make out the little peg details there on the front. And I got the finish on the serifs. We had seen those before here in the top and the bottom. With the finish on there, it really blends in with the curve. See it there at the top. And then down at the bottom, those little serifs for the K. And then one of my favorite pieces is how everything's on a different level. So here at the top, you can see that the front of the K is a little bit higher than the rail, and then the lid, rail, and style at different levels, and finally the panel. So there's like 5 different levels of detail, 5 different planes that those different pieces are in. And I just think that's really cool here. The whole piece has that throughout, and I think it really adds to the overall feel of the piece. And I love how the K has turned out. It's very subtle, but it's definitely there when you know it. And it just looks fantastic. So I'm very happy with how the finishes come on here and how the whole piece has just really come together. This toy chest was a blast to build. I had a lot of fun putting the design together and then seeing the whole thing come together from that design all the way through here to the very finish. So I hope you've enjoyed checking out the process along the way, and I'd love to hear if you have any questions or comments about this, or if it's inspiring you to do something similar.